Disclaimer: the views and opinions of the hosts and resource persons do not represent those of the organization and the university and its stakeholders.
Good morning, Lesson! Welcome back to Writing in Progress with your host, Jot
And Arc.
And today we'll be talking about Thesis Blues with our guest and president, Samantha Sumism. Could you please introduce yourself further?
Alright, so hi, I'm Samantha Sumism. As Jot has introduced, I'm also the current president of the Writers Guild, and I'm currently a third year creative writing student and doing my pre-thesis now.
Out of curiosity, why did you join Writers Guild to begin with?
Well, besides it being my course anyway, creative writing, it's because I wanted to branch out more. Because when I was in high school, I wasn't really active at all in much of my orgs, even though I was a part of a lot. So that's why I wanted it to be different. That's why I joined the org in the first place.
Became so active, you became the president.
No.
Suffering some success.
True.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you're currently taking your pre-thesis, and you're currently taking your thesis now.
Yeah, I just passed it yesterday.
And I'm currently thinking of thesis ideas. So, I think to begin with, do you guys want to share what you're currently writing about?
Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna go first because I reacted already. So I was actually the one who thought of the thesis idea for my group, and I eventually became the leader of it.
Congratulations.
So basically, our topic, because under psychology, it's a very Psikolohiang Pilipino topic. So Filipino psychology, our topic is observing di kapwa under the lenses of religious exclusivism. So the way that works is that it's kind of based on Virgilio Enriquez's kapwa theory. So from kapwa theory, which is formed in the late 70s, only recently has there been coined the term di kapwa. And because there's no di kapwa theory and we can't really create a theory, we want to observe instances of it. And the way we're able to use that is, how can we observe this? Then we use the lens of religious exclusivism, because the Philippines is a very religious country, especially when it comes to Christianity and Catholicism. So that's our topic. How about yours?
Alright. Well, for creative writing kasi, it's not really a group thesis at all. Even for our other track, literary and cultural studies, basta in literature, it's just an individual thesis. And because of that, depending on our track or our genre, that's what our thesis will be based on. So if your genre is in fiction, you might want to write collection of short stories, a novel, a novella, that sort of stuff. If it's poetry, collection of poems, drama, one-act plays. If it's creative nonfiction, again, an essay collection, travel essay, food writing, that sort of stuff. And again, and for us, they give us the freedom to choose whatever topic we want, of course. But as long as it's grounded in the Filipino context lang. That's their only condition, really, and you can do whatever you want. But they do discourage us, at least for fiction, they discourage us from writing novels. Because that's a lot of work, a lot to write, more than 40,000 words at least
I
minimum.
hear it should be 80,000.
Yeah.
I hope someone told them.
In only 3 months, and obviously they discourage us from doing that. So the max that they would let us is novella. But sometimes there are people who are hard-headed and do go for a novel. But
Yeah, RVP is one of them.
Yeah. For me, my max
Shout
is
out to
novella.
Dan. He's making a novel.
He's no longer with us, but maybe one day we could talk about it with him further.
I've seen him suffering from it, but I just think it's interesting when it comes to a thesis in at least from what I understand in LaSalle. I'm not too sure about other schools, but depending on your on your course, on your track, on your department, your thesis is really gonna be different. Say for business, I know it's gonna be business proposals. And in more scientific, in psychology, it's all research based, and then in creative writing, you have the choice of professional project. That's really interesting to me. I think it's really good that we have a thesis system like that, because it makes it in creative writing, why would you have a research study, right? It makes it more in line to what you really want to do.
Speaking of that, I am curious because you guys have very varied topics. Where did you guys get your ideas in the first place? Like, what made you think, oh, this is the one I want to spend 3 months of suffering with?
What do you mean 3 months? 6 months. Anyway.
6 months.
I think with me, I was really like inspired when I took the course PsyPD, which is Filipino psychology or Sikulang Filipino, and the prof I had there was like really inspiring as well. He loved to teach the subject,
Yeah.
Sir Arsega.
Love Sir Arsega.
And then I just realized that oh wow, indigenous psychology, like we were apparently the first country to like make that boom, followed by like Sweden and like the other countries who have their own psychologies. And like knowing that the Filipinos have a lot of like renowned psychologists worldwide, just parang nakaka-proud. And like
True.
although it's kind of sad that we have a lot of like we don't have a lot of studies, like we're very lacking the research department and psychologists in general, which is funny enough. And so I just feel like being able to tackle a subject that others have not like tackled before, like kahit paano, it's like a stepping stone. Like your name is there already if your study was like if it can be mentioned by people in the future. It's like, oh wow, someone made this study. It's really wow, interesting.
What do you, Sumi?
Wait, can you repeat the question? Yeah. Wait, can you repeat the question?
What made you choose your thesis
Right.
topic? Actually, what is your thesis? Because you didn't actually
Alright,
specifically say.
sorry. My thesis kasi it's a Bildungsroman novella, psychological Bildungsroman novella. And it's about like this 15-year-old girl, Christy, who is migrating from the US back to the Philippines because of like inheritance problems on her Filipino side of the family, basically. So since it's a Bildungsroman novella, it does tackle a lot more on like the like a psychological transformation of eventually becoming more mature. Because I wanted to work with like decolonizing,
Very Hume's related.
decolonizing like the Filipino American like sort of stereotype, and especially with how protective we are of our ego and our Filipino pride. So I wanted to kind of experiment with that while also, obviously grounding it to the Filipino context. And how I came to that idea in the first place is because a lot of my philosophy in writing has to do with traveling a lot. So coming from Isabela to here, it's a 10 to 12 hour road trip.
Yeah, it is.
Through the mountains. It's actually insane. Like,
It's really fun though.
it is, but not when you get to like the zigzaggy roads. Like, let's say if you
Oh.
go through Santa Fe, I think Nueva Vizcaya.
I
That's
just feel like just going down the mountains alone.
yeah, and all the sharp turns and everything.
Were you done driving?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
They won't.
Okay.
They want me to.
I would have said like I respect you so much. If you get it. But like I get it if you don't.
Yeah,
do it.
they want me to, but I don't want to yet because it is generally dangerous to go through there. That's
Yeah.
why I was like, okay.
Sumi drifting through the mountains.
No.
I know so many drives and like so many drives very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't force myself to go through that. Not yet. Well, not yet. But yeah, that's why I went through to that anyway. And also because a lot of my family members are in the Filipino diaspora. So I also kind of wanted to like pay homage to them. So that's why I kind of like mixed them together. And actually my tentative title of my novella is Untraveled Are the Roads. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I like that. Very young adult. Just a
Yeah.
random question. What made
Yeah.
you choose like age-wise? What made you choose a 15-year-old?
15-year-old?
Because like a lot of like characters in novels, we realize like especially contemporary novels, like like 13 to 17 to 18, and then we're in college now and we realize, oh wow, we're older than the characters we read. That's like ouch.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it.
Even you watch like shows or anime, like oh wow, you're older than these characters now. It's like
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, why 15?
Because I think it's like almost like at the peak and also like a good middle point between like you coming from when you were really young and then also before you go into actual
Before you
adulthood
realize
now.
what the world is.
Yeah.
It's like halfway there.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm actually not right now. I'm not quite sure yet on what the timeline is exactly for my novella because I do plan it to be 9 chapters. 9 chapters, 40,000 words.
Oh
No,
my
kaya
God.
yan.
I don't
Because I
know.
also wrote a novel.
So, yeah. That's why I chose 15 in the first place. Because I think it's just a good middle point for
Yeah.
everything.
9 chapters, wow. Good luck.
I know,
Speaking of
thank
that,
you.
So when I wrote mine in senior high, it was only 4.
4.
Yeah, because it was long chapters.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine's gonna be cut up kasi.
How is that going, by the way? The chapters.
Okay, to be fair, I am currently my pre-thesis.
Yeah.
So I'm not, this is not like an actual, I have to still draft up the proposal and everything pa by the end of this term. But right now, since I'm also in creative writing kasi we have our workshop classes, right? And specific to our genre, right? I'm taking our last one, Fic Word 2. And in that subject,
Word 2.
fiction workshop. Yeah, fiction workshop 2. And my prof there is Sir Eros Italia. I love Sir so much and the thing is, he encourages us to actually, that the stories that we actually workshop there are what we already going to use in our thesis. Na. So as much as I'd rather that this would be put off a bit later since this pre-proposal pa lang, I like that that we can already have this sort of feedback with an actual like prof who is very, very much an expert in the field. And it's so funny because there were multiple times where he told us of how much blunders he did. Because for one time, for example, he he was going to submit for Palanca.
Oh wow.
But the thing is, it was a Sunday, and so obvious, and she has to notarize everything, right? So I remember him telling us that okay, he went to Tayuman, maghahanap siya ng notaryo doon, and nagkatok pa siya doon, and saying like,
Was there actually anyone who was notarizing on Sunday?
there was no one because it should be closed.
No, yeah, because it should be closed. Government offices.
Yeah, but then nagmakawa talaga siya to the notary, like, please, importante talaga to, I really need to pass this to them. So ayun.
He didn't want to wait another year, you
That's
know.
true.
Yeah, because he
Who wouldn't?
he put it off to the last minute. So yeah,
Lesson word: don't procrastinate government offices, folks.
yeah, but somehow he did win. So
Yeah.
but like still, that's like kind of bad practice. But it's still inspiring that he still has like this passion and drive despite all of the stuff that he's been currently working on. That he still continues to like push for, writing on all these workshops and these contests and everything.
I feel like being able to move on despite hardships should be like, I know it's like a common lesson, like, oh, kaya mo yan, and like, but like to a degree it's true because like you really have to keep that part of yourself that keeps wanting to move on, even if it's like ever so slightly. It's like you don't have to give you 100% every day, but like as long as you keep moving forward, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of hardship, how's your thesis going? As far as I remember, you submitted another part of it.
We submitted the final requirements for it yesterday.
Ooh, congratulations.
So we made it on time, folks.
Yay.
It was actually very smooth. I'm very thankful because my group overall were really good group mates. They listen to comments and they do their job. They do their work on time. Besides some small communication like disconnects, ironic. Overall, it was pretty smooth. Just probably is definitely a shared insight between me and my group. We would have preferred a little bit more guidance from our mentor, but like we understand that he's a busy man. He's the vice dean of psych, so. But like when we were able to get some guidance, it was really good comments. We were able to fully finish all the requirements we needed. Just need a meeting with our reader, but overall, they're able to submit. So smooth sailing overall, I'd say. Also, I want to get back to like, I just realized, how does the concept of pre-thesis work actually?
For us?
At least for you guys, because like our pre-thesis is, we don't have a pre-thesis. Because psych is very research-based. I feel like every term I've had for like the past year or past 2 years have all had like mini thesis, like research subjects. So we're really like ingrained to learn about research and thesis. Like I'm curious about like, at least in the creative writing department, how does pre-thesis work?
For us, actually, it is research. It is a research subject that we're doing this for literary research. But the thing is, from there we already are actually writing the whole 5 parts now. So the abstract, I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. It's so weird because usually you write the abstract last, right? But then for some reason my prof decided, okay, you write the abstract
It really
first.
depends because like even with ours, abstract is just the manuscript. So like it's just part of the manuscript. So like it makes sense to be written at first, but you just have to make sure it's aligned with like your finished product.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, when in creative writing kasi, there are definitely a lot of revisions that's going to be on the way, like as you work through all of the rest of the components. So for us kasi, we have abstract, background of the project, coming into writing, tradition, tradition, poetics, and creative process. Background of the project is basically yung introduction lang. Coming into writing is like, oh, how did we actually start writing? How did we come into that? For tradition, this is basically the RRL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the RRL, like, oh, what were the other works that you are similar from
words.
before? Yeah, and
You also
then
like put inspirations in that.
yeah, but mostly that would be more on the poetics actually, or creative process. Poetics is basically like our writing philosophy. Like for example, for me, my writing philosophy is more ingrained into traveling. For others, it would be because of like materiality. They would focus more on like small objects. Like these would hold a lot of meaning for other people.
Oh, but like a song
Yeah.
would also be like placed under there.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Like, oh, this story was inspired from this song.
Yep. That's how it goes. And then for creative process is how we actually do write it. Like, how do we actually write it? Like for me, I would say that road signs, road markings hold a lot of meaning, and how, to signify the societal development of an area. Because for me, mine is naglalaro ako basically between like a rural setting and then urban. That's why for me, I made roads as like the tangible object
That
for
could act as a comparison.
Yep.
Oh, that's really good actually.
Yeah, so those are like the parts that you're working on right now. And that's actually going to be like part of our whole thesis proposal now that we're going to do at the end. And from there, hopefully I do get a good prof that I do want.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, getting the mentor was really so harrowing process because like you'd want a mentor you're familiar with or a mentor you can work with. And, 'cause a lot of it, of course, just comes to reputation. But at the end of the day, if they're not gonna be doing anything, then what's the point of having a mentor? I think I was also our group was also just lucky enough to be able to get a very highly positive, reputed mentor. Who was Sir Darren Dumap. Yeah.
So I'm curious. How does this work? Like, how does choosing the mentor work? Like, do they
We don't choose a
you?
mentor.
Yeah, so does the mentor choose you, or is it like
Okay, so the
random?
way mentoring works, at least general degree, for instance, you submit your working title, I think, and then you submit like a what's the term? Idea proposal.
Oh, okay.
And then, so you submit that. It's all collected. All of the thesis groups are collected, like this massive sheet, like Google Sheets, and we place it there. Example, Batan title of the study linked to your Google Docs, and from then, the main thesis advisor, because a thesis advisor is different from a thesis mentor. Thesis advisor is the one handling the thesis for all groups for the entire term. For the entire school year.
Oh, okay.
And so they're going to be like initially reading that, and depending on what your study leans towards too, because there's going to be like different branches. Like say in psychology, it's social, there's cultural, there's gaming, there's anthropology, there's environmental and all that. And so depending on where your study like lands on, you're gonna have a select number of profs under there. Like say under environmental psych, there are people like Sir Aruta and like others. So if your study lands towards there, your biggest possibility of getting a prof is from that.
Alright.
And I think I'm not too sure if it's the same with grade writing, but I feel like that process goes for like at least the concept of it generally within campus.
Alright. Because I think it's similar to ours also in creative writing. For us, we do have like the thesis proposal na, so we basically just summarize what we've been working on the whole term into 5 minutes. 5 minute Zoom recording and
Oh, just Zoom recording for
Yeah.
you guys.
yeah. And then we send that, and then from there we send us alongside the Zoom recording, we also send out like a list of tawag nito. A list of 3 professors that we would want to collaborate with for our actual like thesis. So for example, for me, mine is more working on like Bildungsroman, right, and post-colonial and migration. So like I guess off the top of my head, three profs that I would want are Sir Piocos, Sir Carlos Piocos, are the current chair of the department, Miss Harmony Guevara, and also
Hear
Miss
that, guys?
Josefina Bawi.
You know who you are.
Grabe. Yeah, but that's like off the top of my head. But because but the thing is, the first 2 are more specialized in literary and cultural studies, right? So I need to find a creative writing prof that's actually for me. So that would be a bit difficult because there are, as far as I know, is only Miss Josefina Bawi who does that. The only creative writing prof that from as far as I've seen, but honestly, those are the ones that are aligned to my topic, but the ones I actually do want are Doc Militante,
Of course.
Vice Chair, or Doc Asenjo.
Doc Asenjo.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, but the thing is, but like a little bit in my heart, I do want Doc Marge Evasco. But the thing is, she's so reputable and just so high profile for me that I don't think I can.
There's so many profs. If any of those do not get it, I don't know who will, man.
I mean, they'll be the ones. Well, the vice chair will be the one to finalize it.
Well,
for
yeah,
us,
of
so-
course, but like, if the mentor get is like none of your many options, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
kind of sad, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
Best of luck on the mentoring process. Hope you get someone you like.
Great.
It's a harrowing process, man.
Yeah.
Alright, I think to close up the podcast, it's because
Oh, we're closing this up already?
we can talk. I guess we can talk for a bit more. Sorry.
Yeah, just a little bit so it's more natural.
Yeah. Actually, the next question we could talk about, and more like a final question I was curious about is, so let's say you're working on your thesis now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know if you're satisfied?
If I'm satisfied,
I feel like you
Like-
should go first.
Yeah.
I should go first.
How do you know
God.
if it's like, it's good?
It's good? Because for me, I would probably base it off of like, because for me, probably based off like from the peer reviews of my classmates and also my friends. Because a lot of my other friends.
Please do send. It sounds something I'd like to read.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'll see. That will be in, I don't know, next year or something. We'll see if it will even be actually accepted. But yeah, probably from just based off of the feedback of my friends, and from there I just kind of see if I also feel the same as them, because there are definitely moments or like passages that I think that are or could be done better, but I don't see how yet. So that's why I ask for other people's feedback. But to really know if it's perfect or complete, I don't think it will ever actually be perfect at all.
I feel like
That's true.
that's one thing when it comes to like writers, and like not just writers, artists in general. I read this somewhere. I forget who wrote it. There's a saying that artists and writers are never satisfied with their own work because we don't know what perfection is. Like, even though we're already there, we're never gonna feel satisfied. And it's a sad line, but there's truth to it, because like it's your own originality. How will you know if you yourself are perfect? You can never know because no one's perfect.
Yeah.
But all you can do is try your best. That's all I can say. And that's why. What was the question again? The
yeah.
perfect, right?
How about for you?
Oh, when it comes to research, unfortunately, there has to try and be a perfect.
That's fair.
So it comes to our studies, especially when we were spending multiple all-nighters finishing it up.
I was
Yeah.
there. I saw.
He was witness to
I
this.
was witness to this.
We were losing our minds.
Oh, God.
There's really all we can do is try and find as much research, as much
Yeah.
review RLs as we could find. analyze it from there, and work on that because our study is an original study, so it's quite difficult to find. And knowing as well as within context of the Philippines, we have very limited studies, so all we can do is use as much of them as we can, and from there build on that. Because again, in psychology, I remember something my professor said is that the way indigenous psychology works is that you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You work from that. That's it. That's I'd say something in limited research studies. I'd say.
Alright.
Yeah, like I've never talked about for my thesis at least. Kasi, to be honest, I haven't, like, at least unlike the rest of them, I haven't started my pre-thesis. Like, my pre-thesis is next term pa. So I'm still trying to find my idea, and I'd say that for our thesis, at least the little that I've heard when I was talking to my fellow people who are taking NTREP, how it gets successful is just money. So it's like if you're like it's very obvious, it's like money. So it's like
That's so
like I feel like
bro.
I feel like it's a very very specific thing because at least in my time, like in my time in high school when we did run businesses and stuff, how the success rate is literally you have to give you have to promise to the person a physical number that you're trying to reach, like a certain money count, and if you don't reach that, you'll get deductions and lowered score. So that's personally that's how our thesis works, and I feel like the more and more I learn about how to make ideas for my thesis as well, it's getting a bit difficult because I realized that number one, Lasallians are very picky. And that's my main.
I just feel like the market itself is very picky.
Market's very picky, and number two, the original idea I had, which was like, original idea I wanted was like recycled clothing, and I wanted to commission Filipino artists to make a fashion lines out of recycled clothing. So it's like upcycled clothes.
That was my entrep idea when I was in senior high.
Yeah, my upcycled clothing, and then I told this to my prof, and then she was like, yeah, every group did this, and I was just like, oh no.
But like, if I may, because my sister is also in like the business course, right? And she already has 2 businesses.
Oh my god.
And I really think one of the main factors that comes down to it is not the size of the capital, but how much how much you love what you're doing and how much effort you're willing to do it.
Yeah, my prof has always told me, it's like money will not be the problem if your idea is that good.
Yeah, you have to find something, I feel like, that you genuinely enjoy.
I did.
And then build up from that.
I feel like I did recently find something. I'm not gonna say it here, but I can talk about it after. But recently I have found something that I talked about it to my dad, who's also an entrepreneur, and it was really funny. Was that originally he didn't like the idea, and then the more and more I talked about it, he suddenly was like, I want to invest in your company, and I was like, he was like, I'm gonna talk to my friends. I think we can do this. Let's do this. And I was like, ooh, from like didn't like the idea to suddenly he wants to do it within like a 20-minute conversation.
Damn.
There must be something
he got
there.
the dad card. That's also how my sister got her businesses.
So I think that's.
I feel like, going on the ideas of like creating ideas and forming them, I feel like we were able to touch upon it quite well.
Yeah, I think that's
just like how this podcast started, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true. I remember how this podcast started.
It was a very just like airheady convo.
Yeah.
And then Jot asked me, hey, if I were to do the papers, will you host with me? I'm like, I'm
Hell
so
yeah.
game for that. And almost 6 months later, here we are.
Here we are.
Yep.
6 months later, 7 episodes in. Goddamn.
I think we fulfilled the dream.
Real. But I think that's it.
I think that's it for today.
I'm now currently 48 minutes late to my class. So I think we can wrap up here. Do you guys have any other things you want to shout out? Anything you want to share?
And honestly, guys, as much as like the paperwork would look very horrible in thesis, just go for it. As long as you're passionate for it, just go for it.
There really has to be that sense of passion.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a big sense. It's just a driving force.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've always thought of a thesis like you chose this, like, for a lot of people, they chose this course for a reason, and this thesis is that reason. So go all out in it, have your fun.
Exactly.
That's true. And if it isn't, well, I hope you have a better time in masters.
All right.
But yeah, that will be all for today's writing in progress session.
Tune in for more, and
We'll see you next time.
bye.